Hello everyone. In this video I'm going to talk about how to make overlaying Tunisian crochet stitches. I have not seen this anywhere, so I don't know if this has another name, uh, but I came up with it to be able to get this overlay effect, which can be this effect which can be made with which is achievable with overlaying stitches. So I've made a couple of projects which use overlaying stitches, and this is one of them. uh, I do it in multiple ways, and so if you see, this has a little honeycomb pattern which uses overlay stitches, and the border here also uses overlay stitches. So they are made using simple stitches and double crochet stitches. So there are actually two videos, one for making overlay simple stitches and one for making double crochet stitches. So this video is about making overlay double crochet stitches, which is pretty much this part. So if you see, this stitch is laying over the ones in the back, so there is a full row of coral stitches in the back, and this gray sort of sits on top of that and produce this beautiful effect. So I'm going to go ahead and get started and show you how to do this. I have this swatch I made. I'm going to use two colors to show you how it looks. So here it is. This is a bunch of knit stitches, and then I made a row of reverse stitches. And if you are unaware of how to make these, I have separate tutorials for them. And after that, I made a couple of knit stitches. So I am going to make another row of stitches on top of this, and I'll make a couple of overlay stitches into this row here. So because it's an overlay stitch, it works into a few rows before the last row. So I'm not going to work the overlay stitches in this row, the last one. I'm going to work them in this reverse stitch row. I chose this reverse stitch here because that is what I use in my patterns. This can technically be made in any stitch. You just have to figure out where exactly to make them. But in this tutorial, I'm going to talk about how to make double crochet overlay stitches in reverse Tunisian stitches. So I'm going to begin with a few knit stitches here. And so if you look at the next stitch, I'm going to make an overlay double crochet. So if you look at this stitch, this lines with this one. This lines with this one. So we're already done with this. I'm going to make the next stitch over here in this one because that lines with the one at top. Actually, I think I got that wrong. So this lines with this. I'm going to make my next stitch in this one here. So in this one. Okay. Now there are two places that I could make this in. If you remember from pretty much the anatomy of this stitch, it has a front vertical bar and a back vertical bar. So there is this front vertical bar and there is this back vertical bar of this stitch, and I use both of these to make this stitch separately. So I'm going to make this first one in the back vertical bar. So I'm going to take this stitch. So I could technically just make it in this stitch, but just to make it more sturdy, I also find the remaining portion of this back bar. So this is the entire back bar here. So I pick this part and this part, both of them together. It gives me a very sturdy stitch. So to make a double crochet stitch, again, I have a separate tutorial if you want to know how to make a double crochet Tunisian stitch, but I just yarn over and I find the two parts of that back vertical bar, and make a double crochet stitch there. So this is how it looks. The yellow rows are behind this stitch and this one sits on top. I'm going to now show you how to make an overlay stitch in the front vertical bar. So just a few knit stitches, and then now I'm going to identify the front vertical bar. So this is the front vertical bar. Again, I would make it in this bar, but to make it slightly more sturdy, I find the back bar of this. So the back bar goes all the way from there and it comes here. So I pick both of these together. Again, you could make it in just the front vertical bar. I like to make it in both for a sturdy stitch. So yarn over, pick both of these and make the double crochet stitch, and then complete the row. These stitches could be anything. Just for the purpose of this video, I'm making knit stitches, but you'd make whatever the pattern calls for. So that's how it looks when I complete the forward pass. And for the reverse pass, I make a regular reverse pass where I chain one and yarn over, pull through 2 loops all the way to the beginning of the row. So if you look at this stitch is made in the back vertical bar and this one in the front vertical bar. So you can see that you can clearly see the reverse stitch here, but this stitch lies on top of that reverse stitch. So there's a subtle difference here, but I've used both in different situations to create different patterns. So they're both useful to create different kinds of patterns. If you would like to see what I've created with them, you can find a link to the patterns in the description. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you.